let me ask you listeners something. Do you bleed? If so, you should probably go visit the local emergency room and have that looked at. I hear if it bleeds, it leads. And while you're going to the ER, you can listen to our lovely show, supported by our Patreon subscribers. And if you go to patreon.com/evacstation, you too can be one of our supporters to get the show early and even have a few bonus episodes exclusive just for you. For less than the cost of fixing Metropolis after all these superhero problems, it's practically a steal. Again, that's patreon.com/evacstation. And, shh, the podcasters are coming. The podcasters are coming. The podcasters are coming.
You know we used to be best buds, so take a look what you've become. Cause baby, now we've got bad blood. Hey! You can't take the bad, look where we at. You used to be the King JC, remember that? This BAT is quite OP, no let my facts. Now you and me, our fists about to chat. No, I hate to break it to you, this new you is too blue. The sequel needs Dark Knight, be careful, I'll replace you. Take time and defend you, you can't prepare no more. That's what my belt is for. Snap your neck, you lost respect, now it's war. Oh, it's so sad to think of all the coffee, you and I. Cause baby, now we've got bad blood. You know we used to be best buds.
You know, we had trouble settling our differences too. Then one of us said, Mark Hamill. And we put our differences aside and watched a better movie. We are Wonder Waseska. And with me I've got the Metters of Steel.
Da-da-da-da.
And the Dark Nelson.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I like that.
So, welcome.
Shit, we should have had him read the Patreon podcast. It wouldn't have been a stretch for him.
Quite possibly. So welcome to what might be the longest episode of the series. I can't promise that. I will not confirm that. Because we're just starting and I have no idea where this is going to go. We're going to be talking about Batman versus Superman. But before we get into that, let me remind you about patreon.com/evacstation, as well as our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn. You can also find us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and our email. Before we get to that, Ryan, what is our email?
That email is Jesus Christ, Ben Affleck was useless in that final fight. I mean, it is evacstation@gmail.com. Excuse me there.
Get a little ahead of ourselves, Ryan. Get a little ahead of ourselves.
Sorry, it was stuck in my throat, man. I had to get it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, for those interested in what's up ahead, I will promise you a list of grievances awaits. But before we get to that, gentlemen, what you been watching?
Robbie, what have you been watching, sir? We haven't heard from you in a good long while. What are you taking a look at?
Yeah, man. I've actually been busy not watching because we just got a puppy a week ago.
Ooh,
yeah.
What kind of puppy?
His name is Puddles, and he's a cockapoo.
Love it already.
Yeah. You might need to take my man card, but that's okay. He's a cute dog, and yeah, we love him. He likes to party. So he did watch these movies with me. So he sat through them.
Tough dog right there handling this movie.
I know. Yeah, he suffered through this one, unfortunately, but he's a good best friend. So that's what I've been working on. However, just quickly, I finally started playing Spider-Man on PS4.
Oh my god, it's so good.
It's so fun. So I look forward to talking with you guys about that once I get further through it. I literally just started like a couple days ago. So
you're in for a treat. I have yet to
play it, so
you are in for a treat. I've played through the entirety of the main storyline. I haven't done the DLC yet, but I hear the DLC is fantastic, and the game itself is just gorgeous. You can lose hours just being Spider-Man
just swing it around,
forever. This is wonderful.
Well, I'm adopting the same
it
strategy with that game and God of War as I did with Horizon and Persona. I'm gonna wait a year and wait till it goes on sale for half price or lower because I'm cheap like that.
Oh,
It's
that's a
fair.
good call.
Hey, it's a very good call. But yes, there are good games that await you when you're ready to grab
Yes.
them.
Absolutely. And I have Smash
Awesome.
Bros. To keep me busy until then because they have that new update that came out like just now and it's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to checking out more of that.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Ryan, how about your week?
With my beautiful house guest for a little while, we started getting into, and this actually is pretty poignant for the podcast. She has me watching DC's Titans, the live action
right.
adaptation.
Oh boy.
What do you think?
You know what? It's not that bad. It's actually not that bad. I love how brutal they made Dick Grayson. Like he's
man.
pretty fucking ridiculous. We have like 3 or so episodes left, and he like one of the central bits to his character is that he didn't like who he was becoming like under Batman's shadow, and as like terrifyingly brutal as he is, I'm expecting Batman to be like Frank Miller's Batman whenever he fucking shows up, because he better be murdering people left and right if Robin was this run and gun with it, because he's mean. He's real mean. But I am enjoying it. It's different, and I get to see a bigger look at DC's universe, so that's always interesting to take a look. And we're waiting for Jason Todd to die and become Red Hood. But yes,
I was gonna say you'll have to if you're watching stuff on the DC universe, you'll have to let me know how the new season of Young Justice is. I really want to check that out.
I still have to check that out.
Wait.
I need to watch like all of Young Justice. Maybe that'll be something we can do next time she comes in.
Oh yeah, that's a great show, man.
Oh yeah. I'm always torn between that and Titans, because I like the animation style of Titans, but I love the storylines of Young Justice. It's a hard mix for me. It's hard to pick.
The storyline in Young Justice is just so good. I mean, even both seasons are.
Well, I'll get my week out of the way real quick. So while you both started something, I actually just finished the latest season of Ruby.
Oh, Jesus! The whole season came out. Man, I need to watch it. Fuck.
For those who don't know, that is Rooster Teeth's first anime series, which is on now season 6, just finished. I'm going to say, Ryan, so I have been very meh about seasons 4 and 5, and I'm like, okay, season 6 has to turn this around and really pull me in. And I gotta say, they did a good job pulling me in. This was a really good season.
Good. Very good.
It is not as good as season 3. I think it's going to be really tough to match up to it, but this is as close as it's been in quite a while.
Do you feel like they're finally finding their footing after Monty's passing?
I think so. I think the issues were a mixture of them not having a... He had a very specific way of animating the show that no one else really went for, and they streamlined it in a way where it was just so far away from what he did. So it looks like they're slowly clawing their way back to that. And the writing has certainly improved, and they've confirmed one of the ships that everyone's a big fan of. I won't spoil it here, but needless to say, I'm actually on board for it. And
Okay.
The final battle of the season ends a little abruptly, but most of it is still really good, and I think the fight in the penultimate episode is really the one to come for. So,
All right. We'll definitely give that a look.
Yep. And then also on top of that too, because it relates to this, Ruby Combat Ready is a board game that came out via Kickstarter from Rooster Teeth as well. Played that over the past few weekends with some buddies of mine. A lot of fun. It's a good co-op game if you're a big fan of Ruby. I'd recommend giving it a look and giving it a shot, because it's definitely different than what I would have expected. I won't go into too many details here, because we have a lot to talk about tonight, and this game is a little more complicated than I can explain in just 2 minutes.
Damn. All right.
All right. Well, for those who are just joining us, welcome back to the Crisis on Infinite Films. And this week, it's the film that divided the fans, the film that broke the universe, the polarizing 2016 film, Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Oh, God.
Just saying that whole name sounds kind of bad to me.
Oh, God.
Well, because it's a V and not versus.
Yeah.
So. But, whatever.
Directed by Zack Snyder and written by Chris Terrio and David Goyer. This film features the talents of Jeremy Iron, Lawrence Fishburne, Amy Adams. God, she's wasted in this film. Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Jesse fucking Eisenberg, and the real hero of this film, Gal Gadot.
Yeah.
Jesse, why? I'm so mad. I'm oh god.
We're gonna have words.
I have words for him.
I will save it. I will save it. Continue, please.
The film went on to make $873,634,000 worldwide, which is very respectable, even at the budget of $250 million.
Yeah.
And then this movie would go on to win 15 awards. Ryan, is that surprising to you?
No, because I'm reading a little bit of what the awards are. No, these aren't surprising at all.
Well, these awards include the movie you wish you could unsee from the All Deaf Movie Awards. Biggest disappointment of the year from the Golden Schmoes.
God damn.
Most original poster from the Golden Trailer Awards. Which what the fuck
Hey, they
even
got
is that?
that.
What the fuck is that?
Well, at least that's not a bad one.
Yeah, but I don't know what that actually
It's
entails.
a positive. Sure, gotta give them something.
And then, I don't think it's a record-breaking, but this won several awards at the Razzies, including Worst Supporting Actor, Worst Screen Combo, Worst Screenplay, and Worst Prequel, Sequel, Remake, and or Ripoff.
Jesus.
Dang.
I'm interested in who the worst screen combo was.
I think they're talking...
Oh, yeah.
I have to look it up, actually, now. I think they're talking about the leads, but I have to double-check. I won't look at it right now. I'll wait till we are doing, like, something where you guys are talking.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay.
that's that. And yeah, this is not a good year for Warner Brothers, especially because this came out the same year as Civil War, the other big hero versus hero movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, like, I'm sure, like, opening box office numbers had it, like, competing strongly, even possibly beating it. But when you look at, like, actual, quality of film, yeah, it was no contest. No contest.
Well, a quick fun fact that isn't included in the list, but it does relate to that, Ryan, is that this actually was originally penned to come out the same day as Captain America 3, but they quickly changed their tune when they heard it was Civil War.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like, oh no, can't.
I remember that.
Yeah, I do remember that too. I remember that too.
Oh my god.
That was.
Yeah, they backed down super quick.
And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, you guys have no faith in this, and that is hilarious.
Yeah, not good.
Just a quick heads up: the worst screen combo was in fact the two leads.
Damn. Well, I do have some fun facts here for you gentlemen. So strap in.
Okay.
So Ben Affleck actually gained an additional 20 pounds of muscle and reached 8% body fat for his role as Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. It does show. It shows, and I will definitely.
He looks good, man.
Like he looks good, but I wish he was a little more like nimble. Like he felt like super big and stocky. Like they were going for a big swole ass Batman as opposed to Ninja Batman.
Man.
The Batman I'm familiar with most is more of a ninja and more of a detective. This guy was neither of those.
Yeah.
It was. We'll get into it.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I saw that. I couldn't help it. Let's see. The next one that I have is that the film was originally pitched in August of 2001 by Andrew Kevin Walker, with Wolfgang Peterson to direct, and Akiva Goldsman to do the script. Now, Goldsman's script had Bruce Wayne's fiancée slain by the Joker, which sends him on a revenge rampage and brings him into conflict with Superman, who tried to stop him. That film was shelved, but in Goldsman's I Am Legend, that came out in 2007, a teaser poster for the film, which had Superman's shield inside of a bat, was seen in the opening scene. It was rumored at the time that George Clooney would be playing Batman, reprising the role from Batman and Robin in 1997, and John Travolta would be playing Superman.
I mean, Travolta's been.
I would like to see him take his face off in this movie. Is that possible?
I'm itching to do a Nick Cage month, man. You know I am.
Please, Nick Cage month, please.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, I'd heard about the whole Batman Superman logo in I Am Legend, and I think I'd seen it in a few frames after looking it up online.
Yeah, I remember it.
And
I remember seeing it the first time I watched it. I was just like, hey!
Me too.
I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, no way.
I'm not gonna lie. Until I saw this fact, I actually had no idea that was the reason. So yeah.
Yeah, me neither. I thought it was just a clever little nod, like, yes, this is in the future, but not too distant future where something like this could happen. And I'm like, all right, I buy that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's what I thought of first too.
So with that, gentlemen, let's move on to our film itself with a synopsis. Before we get to that, though, what are some initial thoughts before we dive in? I think we've already kind of hinted at a little bit, but let's just get a little soundbite here.
All right, Robbie, what you got?
Okay. So as I've told you guys many times in our various podcasts and the times we've talked, Batman's my guy. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
My friends, my family. I have Batman tins on my wall. I'm drinking out of a Batman glass as we speak. He's my guy. So I was very excited for this movie. Regardless of everything that was leading up to it, even though Zack Snyder was, directing it, I was like, I'm going to give it a chance because Batman's my guy. And Batman has guns. And we have Jesse fucking Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. And Amy Adams has no role, and she's supposed to be Lois Lane. God, I'm already pissed thinking about this right now. I do have some positive thoughts that we'll talk about later, but it just Batman having guns. We'll talk about that.
So Ryan, I want to go next. I'm going to piggyback off that.
All right, get it.
So my initial thoughts walking out of the theater when I first saw this was literally that same thing, Barbie. Why does Batman have guns? It was the first question I asked when I walked out of the theater in 2016, and it still doesn't sit right with me, no matter what internet debates will tell you. It's not Batman. That's not what he does.
The problem with it is they even start this movie with, the murder of his parents. The specific reason he doesn't use guns is because of that moment, which is why he becomes Batman. Regardless if he goes down some dark path or whatever that they're trying to portray in this movie, he still shouldn't use guns. I'm like, I'm just so mad about this. Like,
well, there was an episode of the Justice League cartoon where, like, he does multiple episodes actually where he's offered guns by Luthor, by cowboys or whatever, and he's always like, nope, I don't use them. Not my thing.
Yep. Yeah. And he could have used them so many times in the comics, to stop the Joker. I mean, Under the Red Hood was basically about Jason Todd being like, why can't you kill this guy? And
oh my God! Please don't get me started on Under the Red Hood. That is a gorgeous ass movie. Oh, please.
But that's what I mean, And let's get to your initial thoughts. We'll get more into this.
We have a long way to go for that.
I'm trying to not get on a soapbox here.
So my initial thoughts, hey guys, I didn't like it. I think the movie is a lot of wasted potential.
Exactly.
I remember going in.
Yeah.
I remember going in, being kind of mixed, having mixed feelings about Man of Steel because it was definitely different from any Superman I'd seen, but they were trying to take it in a different direction, and I saw the different directions that they were trying to go with this movie as well, and I feel like they had a couple of really good ideas, but they didn't follow through on them with any real execution, and a couple of them were just out and out bad fucking ideas. Add to that that they tried to jumpstart their entire fucking cinematic universe in one movie. Yeah, it's just bad, man. That, my initial thoughts is they tried to do too much, too different, too fast, and that's why it failed.
Well, speaking of too much, too different, and probably too long, you guys ready for a synopsis?
Yay!
Good luck, brother.
All right, this is a long one, kids. So strap in. Batman gets his origin retold to focus emphasis on his mom because we're trying to be subtle and failing absolutely miserably. Flash forward to Bruce during what is essentially 9/11, but caused by Zod and Superman fighting at the end of Man of Steel. Again, subtle.
Yeah.
He vows revenge for some asshole named Jack, but you don't care. You want to talk about Luthor and his crazy shenanigans. After some sick b-ball, a strange man claiming to be Lex Luthor, but acts more like Willy Wonka, demands the body of Zod for experiments and necrophilia. The G-men want to say no, but they can't resist Luthor's sweet talk, and they're force fed some candy too. That's a little weird.
That was so fucking weird. Jesus.
I told you, man. He's like Willy Wonka.
God.
Luthor then holds some kind of party, which brings all our main characters together for reasons. Before that, though, I should divulge into the subplot about Superman saving Lois from African terrorists, who were killed by Lex Luthor's men in an effort to frame Superman for using specialized bullets to make the world turn again. Wait, what? What? Why the fuck am I bothering with this boring thing? Bring this fucking stupid plan. Why does anyone fall for this shit?
Well, the bodies were burned, so obviously it's Superman, because nobody else has access to, like, flamethrowers or something. Oh, wait, damn.
God damn it.
At the party, Bruce downloads some data to steal Luthor's kryptonite. He also gets some leaked trailer footage for the future Justice League installments currently in various stages of development hell. Oh, and Aquaman. I have many complaints about this, but no time. Moving on. He also meets Wonder Woman because we need to shoehorn another fucking character in this movie. But at least she's good in this. Kicks ass and is generally a delight once she shows up. Before he can get the fuck out, Luthor introduces Bruce to Clark because he somehow knows who they really are, but they don't. And how? How does Luthor know who Bruce is? Someone explain. How has the smartest detective been figured out? Explain this to me.
Because he's not a fucking detective. He's just a guy who likes to fight and lift weights.
Somehow, easily manipulated into fighting by Luthor, Superman and Batman get into a tussle. Superman wants Batman's help to save his mom, but Batman is not talking because this is an action movie, and the audience demands blood after 2 hours of this dumb bullshit. Eventually,
no one will be seated during the Batman and Superman fight.
Eventually, Superman says the magic word, mommy issues, and Batman crumbles faster than a bat cookie in bat milk. The two immediately become best friends, and at least according to Bruce, and they go to save Ma Kent. And that's the end of the movie. It wasn't great, but wait, what? There's more? Who the fuck do they think they are? Return of the King?
Yeah, there's a second movie. Didn't you know? Of course. We still have to get the Dawn of Justice in there.
Luthor's mad science experiment on Zod's body resulted in the cum spawn that is Doomsday. The worst thing to happen to comics now splooged onto film. Superman, Batman, and eventually Wonder Woman engage in an overbloated CGI fight against what is basically an orc that casts explosions. They win by hitting it harder with the kryptonite spear because of course they do. Superman dies because you have to kill him in a movie with Doomsday. Why would you not do that? Yep. Probably shouldn't have thrown him in the trailers if you wanted that to be a surprise, of course. The movie ends with the funeral for Superman, in which the whole world mourns him despite the fact he was such a divisive figure to the world. And it's only the second movie in this fucking franchise, and did you honestly think you earned this, Snyder? Warner Brothers, you didn't. Fuck off. He's not dead, and this franchise basically is.
God damn it. Just you going through that already got me mad.
I failed him in life, but I won't fail him in death. Bruce, you were literally trying to kill him for 8 parts of this movie. Like, the first 80% of this movie, you were straight up trying to kill this man. Please don't tell me that you're going to now devote the rest of your life to living up to Superman's ideal. Can you please? Can you not do that to me?
So I have a list of grievances. Obviously. I'm not going to get into them yet. I want to start with, like, 5-10 minutes of positivity. Because I have some positive notes. I have a few positive notes.
I got a couple, too.
Who wants to kick off? Who wants to kick off the positive?
Let's see. Shit.
I mean, let's look at the one I think we all have on the same plate here. Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman. Fucking kicking ass.
Yeah,
literally like the shining beacon of this movie. Like, it was all shit until she jumped in and saved Bruce, and the fucking sickest guitar riff I've ever seen happens. Like, and she's there, and the whole thing, I'm like, yes. Please, I want. As soon as I saw that and the reaction I had, I'm like, okay, her movie is gonna be the shit. Her movie's gonna be amazing.
I can't wait to talk about that in a couple weeks. That'll be a good time.
Did she need to be in the movie? No. Was it fucking awesome though? Yeah,
absolutely. Like she didn't need to be in the movie, but the movie was made better by her presence. So that's a very interesting balance to strike.
The last third I won't even say tolerable. I don't know what the right word is, but you can at least watch it because you get to see her kick ass against the orc baby, whatever the fuck that thing was.
The CGI monster.
It wasn't Doomsday. I don't care what they say. That was not Doomsday.
But he had the rocks and then the crazy kryptonite power.
Doomsday's an alien man from outer space.
Yeah. God,
he's not a Kryptonian abomination that Lex Luthor fucking cooked up in his easy bake oven. No.
Yeah.
Okay. So another thing I want to say is a positive here, real quick. There are two instances of Superman using his powers in very subtle ways that I actually really like. One of them is when he uses super hearing to hear Bruce doing his 007 bullshit.
Yeah.
And then the
like
one
that.
part when he's in space and he's recovering from the explosion by the sun regenerating him. Those are very small, very minor moments, but they were really well done.
That was very cool.
That was actually taken straight from The Dark Knight Returns, I believe, right?
I believe
I'm
so,
pretty
yeah.
sure, yeah.
Which this bullshit is based on, because God forbid we have Batman as a young man.
They have it's based on it superficially, very superficially.
Yeah. One of my main positives that I wanted to talk about with you guys was, so when they finally decide they're best friends, or whatever the hell that was with the Martha shit, he goes to go save Ma Kent, and that was the first time in Batman's cinematic history we actually get to see him be Batman. When he busts into that place and just starts putting on a clinic.
Yeah.
I mean, before he basically killed KG Beast, but that scene going up through the floor, oh my god, I was flexing so hard.
It was good.
Because I was like, this is Batman.
In that scene, it's still a good scene.
Yeah. He was hitting people no holds bar like that. That one towards the end where he punches a dude so hard his face hits the ground and his body leaves the ground. I'm like, oh shit, that man is dead. That man is not getting
people
back
blow up with a grenade. Come on now, he killed a lot of people.
Yeah,
yeah, he did.
He killed a lot of people. However, he wasn't actually blatantly shooting them like he was in his car.
Right.
So I'll give him a pass, but just
go ahead. Blowing
up into that room and just taking guys out and going from back and forth, and it was so cool. Like, it just brought me out of that movie where I'm just sitting there pouting the whole time, and I'm like, oh yeah, finally, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, to piggyback off that, it goes into one of my things. This is probably the best bat suit there's ever been in the series. I'm not saying it most on looks, but it looks like it's the first bat suit the guy can move around in.
Yeah, it wasn't as bulky as Christian Bale's, what's the right word for it? Like,
not
bulky, but he was stiff. Yeah, he's very stiff, and even like Michael Keaton's, he was kind of stiff too, just because
in terms of like movability.
Yeah, but like to be quite honest, I think it would be hard to do like a realistic looking Batman suit, like with the cape and everything, that you can essentially be a fucking martial artist in.
Yeah.
Like that's
kind of impossible.
That's a lot.
I know.
You're right. In terms of mobility, I'd say this is a pretty good suit. Like it looks like it has some armor to it, and at the same time, he can actually move around.
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan, we've taken a spotlight here. Do you have a few you want to throw in there?
To kind of piggyback on some of the things that they did right, I like Ben Affleck as Bruce Wayne. I think like having him be like the older, like really like low key cool billionaire Bruce Wayne with the salt and pepper kind of stubble. I think he pulls that look off well, and I really like the rage that he brought to the table. Like, I wish they put more of anything else in his character, because in this movie, Batman is just all rage all the time. But if they had one note that they wanted to hit with Bruce Wayne, I think Ben Affleck did that very, very well.
Well, and I think, going off that, I think the casting for the three heroes is really good. I think Gal Gadot, even Henry Cavill, and Ben Affleck, all three of them are good. It's just they weren't given a lot to work with here.
Yeah, I think the casting for Henry Cavill is very good. I think the writing is shit. And the thing that really makes me sad about Henry Cavill is that I think if he was given some quintessential like Superman, like the actual hero of justice, the guy who is gonna pull humanity into the sun, the really nice Superman, I think he could really knock that out of the park. But all they gave him was damn near Injustice level Superman, where he just looks like a disapproving god who's like going to kill you at a moment's notice. And Henry Cavill pulls that look off really, really well. I just want to see something other than that.
Yeah.
Well, he cracked a smile around Lois during that one scene where they're in the tub. I thought he was okay with that. He did a good job.
Well, yeah, I mean, Clark Kent was really, really nice. Clark Kent was really warm and affable. Superman just looked like he was 2 seconds away from killing you because you sneezed. Or you had the audacity to
save
gaze
you people
up.
again. Ugh.
Yeah. What about my guy, Jeremy Irons?
I didn't really list him, but I have nothing against him. I think he did okay. I think he did all right.
He's like the
I was really pumped about him being
Alfred.
Alfred.
He was the sassiest Alfred I have ever seen.
I loved it.
I still like Michael Caine the best, but Jeremy
Irons
pretty
me
good.
too.
Yeah. Well, they were trying to go through for the Alfred that was like former like
former
Special Ops,
British
CIA.
SAS type guy.
Yeah, or whatever it was. Yeah. Which I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think you were going to mention this, Aaron, about the memorial with Robin. I think they were trying to tease us, with, Red Hood stuff, which would have been, if they would have like dived into that. I know you can't do that in one movie, unfortunately, which they were trying to do everything else in that.
Why
but,
not?
like,
You got everything else
having
here.
Bruce, yeah, but having Bruce actually have that moment where he's just like, man, like, I've lost so many people, and just like almost flash back to what happened or something, like, so you get more characterization with him of why he feels so guilty about his past and why he's so brutal now. Because I think that's what they were trying to do.
It was a very good attempt at subtlety that didn't play well with everything else.
Yeah. I mean, you had to show why, and we hadn't earned it, which sucks. And I mean, that's a negative in this movie.
A lot
I'm
of what
sorry.
this movie
I'm
tried
trying
to do,
really hard.
A lot of what this movie tried to do felt really unearned. Like, it felt like this should have been the third or fourth movie in the franchise, and they didn't build up to this at all.
No. And I just think it's a big mistake having Batman be older. I think it would have worked if they already had a universe established and we could, visit this down the road where, Superman is still... He's always going to be younger because he's an alien. He's not going to age. But you have an older Batman. And then they can do Dark Knight Returns, which for some reason Zack Snyder has a hard-on for, which I really don't even like that story that much.
To be fair, a lot of comic writers and comic movie filmmakers have a hard-on for. I think it's a little overrated.
Oh, it's so overrated. And I love Batman stories.
I do. But
it's just
it's
just not that.
It's the first.
I hate that Bruce.
It's the first Batman comic that I'm aware of that went like really dark with the subject matter. In the franchise, in the comics run, and ever since then, writers have just been clicking with the idea that Batman's got to be dark and brooding and grim and like borderline psychotic. And while some of those themes are fun to explore, there's a whole vast array of what Batman's been throughout his history. That is just one channel everyone wants to stick to, and I am a little tired of it, to be honest.
Now, I real quick, because I know we have like a long ass list of grievances. But guys, what is your what would you call your favorite Batman story? Just real fast.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
The Long Halloween.
That was my short list.
I mean, I could go all day with this, so that's number one for me.
That's what Dark Knight Returns was based on. Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Nolan.
If I had to pick.
Oh, you mean the Dark Knight was
right?
Yeah.
It's a very similar story.
Right.
Yep.
I was gonna say Long Halloween, but I'm gonna go with my second pick just to be different. I'm gonna go Hush. I like that storyline. I like that Riddler is a very manipulative villain who's organized ways to
Riddler's messed up
fuck
in
up
that one.
Batman. It's a really good storyline.
Yeah.
I want more Riddler.
That one's
damn
a
it.
good one.
Yeah. Oh my god. I need some more Riddler. I need some more Riddler in my life.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Ryan,
too.
how about you? Do you have any?
Like honestly, like I never got the chance to really read into Batman. Like all I knew of him was the '90s comic books and the Chris Nolan trilogy. So if I'm gonna just base off of that, I think my favorite storyline that they've gone into was Harvey Dent, because I think it was fantastically played. Like it was in Long Halloween, but I mean, I think Aaron Eckhart fucking blew the roof off of Harvey Dent and Two-Face.
They should have split that in 2 movies. I know we've talked about that before.
I'm honestly okay with it. I'm honestly okay with that. It was in the same movie.
I wish they could have went full Two-Face though, but that's just me.
As a fellow Aaron, I will say Aaron Eckhart is the superior Aaron. So.
Oh, don't beat yourself up.
No,
man.
I have to battle his talents. He's really good.
He is really good.
One more recommendation for Batman storylines to check out. This is not a favorite, but it is a highly good one from recent years. I like Death of the Family. It's a really interesting storyline where Joker abducts like all the different members of Batman's family, and it's weird and interesting and bizarre, and I just like what it's trying to do. It's
what'd you call that? Would you say that was Death of the Family?
Yep, it's kind of like a sequel to Death
of the family where Jason Todd dies. Yeah. That's the original one. This is a lot different, and like Aaron said, very strange but cool. Like Joker is very interesting in it. I agree with that. That's a good call.
Okay.
All right. Before we continue down this nostalgia trip even further, do we have any more positives to dull out before we jump into the grievances?
Let me see. I think I've exhausted all mine.
All right. Well,
because there were some really I think the only other positive things I can say are the things where I liked the idea and the spirit that they were what they were going after, but it's quickly followed by the fact that they failed, so it becomes a grievance. So I'll just wait.
All right. Well, go ahead.
I just quickly, I kind of liked the new take on the Batcave with the house that's just kind of out on the lake there, and then it was kind of like a more modern, futuristic Batcave, so to speak, right?
I like that.
Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool. I don't know, but we need time for the bad stuff.
I was a little sad that he let Wayne Manor get fucking dilapidated, but I understand that's a character choice, like another thing to showcase just how far Bruce has fallen, like from like the person he used to be, like So I understand. It was just very sad to see.
Yeah, I agree.
So I checked my list here. I've got a list of 40 grievances, and even if I did one a minute, this would be a very long podcast. So I'm definitely going to skip around here and there. I'm sure we'll have a lot of like mutual coverage. So everyone just kind of think of which ones you want to bring to the forefront. I know which one I want to talk about first. I know Robbie's already talked some shit about it because I'm on the same page as him. Motherfucking Lex Luthor.
God,
we could spend the rest of the time on this shit. God damn it.
Okay, so let me say my thing. Let me say my thing first. I really like Jesse Eisenberg as an actor.
Yeah.
I really like him, and I like his work. And when I heard that they were gonna have him do Lex Luthor, originally I was excited because A, I like him as an actor, and B, it looked like they were going to do something different with Lex Luthor, kind of like a more millennial spin, like a new age take on Lex Luthor. And I was
Millennials killed Batman vs. Superman.
You heard it here first, folks. But again, they fell through with it by making him too millennial and just having him be a whiny fucking know-it-all that's like just kind of manic depressive and like too fucking smart for his own good and just really smarmy and you hate him like as soon as you see him. Where Lex Luthor is supposed to be that guy that you hate, but he's also supposed to be the guy that impresses the fuck out of you. Like this guy,
Yes.
this guy's like
He's
a
supposed to be
big ass
charismatic.
like athlete. He's charismatic. He does all these things, and he's amazingly smart. If you have all of those positives and then have him be inferior to Superman, that's great motivation. But if it's just Jesse Eisenberg whining because this dude showed up, well, then you lost him. You lost Lex Luthor at that point.
So I want to bring up a point real quick. So, as I mentioned during our Man of Steel podcast, Ryan, I was watching this movie with Amanda, and like with Man of Steel, this is the only other movie I've ever watched with her where she actually commented during the movie. She never does that. And her comment to me when watching this one was, is Lex Luthor supposed to be like this?
Damn.
That is the perfect statement. Because that's exactly how I felt. Like, I was like second guessing myself. I'm like, am I just like thinking of the cartoon or something? Or I know that the Lex is in my head that I would like to see in a movie is definitely not fucking this.
Well, going back to every iteration of Lex Luthor, from Kevin Spacey to Clancy Brown to the fucking
Clancy.
the fucking the old school Superman from the 70s.
Gene Hackman was in the Donner
yes,
films.
Going back to all
Yes.
these other Lex Luthors, they've all had one thing in common. They've all had this very like elitist, self-assured, confident attitude. They've all been this very proud, arrogant son of a bitch, but you can't help but love him when you don't know his backstory. Like, he acts like a very cool guy up front to most people, and this guy wasn't anything like that. One of my friends, when I first watched this movie, defended it, saying it's just a different take on Lex Luthor. I'm like, I can kind of concede your point, but the different take has to still be good in some way.
Yeah, like it's like different doesn't equate to good. It really doesn't. Like,
Correct.
it has to be different and good.
And here's the thing. Lex Luthor's thing's always had this like god complex, inferiority complex with Superman. So this guy does nothing different.
Yes.
So what is this version of Lex Luthor saying that the other ones don't? Because I don't see anything worthwhile that makes this one's message, this one's existence, more poignant than Clancy Brown or Gene Hackman or so on.
And for real, like this iteration of Lex Luthor just came off to me as fucking batshit crazy. Like honestly, he was just straight up psychotic, and I love the crazy aspect that I think he played to that note really well.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else that should have made the character Lex Luthor was not there. It was just a scrawny, fucking insane kid, like shouting about, and now I have beaten God, and I'm like, okay, go sit down somewhere.
Ryan, for instance, I think you brought this up earlier with or maybe it was you, Aaron, with the candy. Like when he's trying to get the body of Zod.
Fucking Willy Wonka.
If this was truly Lex Luthor, he wouldn't have to do any of that weird shit. He'd just be like, "Hey, I need this body. Get it for me." Because he owns the room. The government would answer to him because he's the smartest guy in the room, the most powerful guy in the room. He can do whatever he wants when he wants.
This is a guy.
You know what I mean? Like that bothered the shit out of me. Like, why is this little weirdo
This is a guy who runs for
force feeding
president
candy
for
and
Christ's
shit?
sake.
God damn it! I'm just.
Also,
sorry.
Also,
It's like fresh wounds again.
Like Lex Luthor is supposed to be like one of the smartest men on the planet.
Yes.
I feel like they had some set pieces around Jesse Eisenberg to make him appear smart. You know, they had him standing in front of a lab, weirdly beckoning the body forward. They had him using a kryptonite scalpel to get his fingerprints off so that he could get access to the ship. Like, aside from that, they just had him walking around with a suitcase that we're supposed to believe has testing materials in it, and then him dragging a naked General Zod's body into a pool of water. That's it. Like, I didn't, like you could have had him spouting off some ridiculous science just to, like, really drive home the fact, this dude's actually smart shit, on top of being an egomaniac and crazy as hell. But no, they just had these things to kind of inform you that like he's supposed to be smart, but I didn't see it. Like they showed it, but they didn't actually tell it.
And we're supposed to believe he knows who Batman is.
Yeah, and Clark Kent because he just knows everything.
Well, Clark Kent shouldn't be that hard, but Batman, come on now. I was gonna say there was rumors going around. I don't know if it's true. I haven't found anything to corroborate it, but there were rumors going around that they actually did have a script originally penned to have Joker and Luthor be the villains, and the rumor is that the characters got folded into one another, and that's how we had the Luthor we have here. I could believe it based on what we get. But there's nothing to prove it, so I'm not going to say it's true. But I mean, it does.
I could believe that, but that's a stupid fucking idea because Lex Luthor is nothing like the Joker.
He's not. No.
Yeah.
Now Jesse Eisenberg playing the Joker, I could see it.
Yeah,
I could see it.
Yeah, that actually be kind of fun.
I'd see that.
I'd rather see Nick Cage play the Joker, but I mean that's a horror story.
I'm so down for that, man.
Like if any actor embodies crazy, it's that man.
Yeah. Oh man.
So our grievance, our like 20 minutes of grievances has entirely been Lex Luthor for a good portion of it.
Yep. Let's move on to another thing. We all hate Luthor. We all think he could be better. Bryan Cranston for the win. Who's next? What do we got next? Who wants to go make the next grievance?
Pa Kent. Let's start with the like.
I mean,
I'm still mad about it in Man of Steel.
we did bring up in Man of Steel a little bit, Ryan.
I know. I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say that again.
I know.
Like the whole subplot to Africa with Lois and it's supposed to be Jimmy Olsen. Like what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
Jimmy Olsen like showed up and then was a CIA agent and then died. That was it. That was all we got with Jimmy Olsen.
I honestly ignored the fact that
made
it was Jimmy Olsen because it adds nothing to the story. That sounds like the author. That sounds like the director just saying, "Oh yeah, no, that's him for a reference. It's him." It's like I don't care. He doesn't do anything. Fuck off. It's just some dude. Move on.
Yeah, that made no sense. And then like the whole blaming it on Superman and like people hate him and they had the lady in front of Congress or whatever senator that was talking about it.
Yeah, the piss lady.
Like it just it didn't make any sense. Like I can't even talk. Like I'm so mad about it. Like it's oh god. Like who wrote that?
So can anyone explain to me like why Luthor thought that plan made sense to frame Superman for that? Like how does anyone fall for that? Like these guys are shot and burned to death. Superman did it. It's like, well, I've never seen Superman use a gun because it's Superman. He doesn't need to.
He doesn't need a gun.
And the burning to death
there
thing.
are bullet holes in the body. No, seriously, there are bullet. Like I don't give a fuck if they're scorched. There are bullet holes in the body. Like Superman can push you with his finger and kill you. Why would he use a gun?
Ugh. That plan made no sense at all. Like Luthor is supposed to be the smartest man in the world. How does he have any? Why does he think that's a plan that makes sense at all? It doesn't.
Now the idea of like turning the world's gaze on Superman and trying to question, like, and trying to turn public opinion against him, that's a good idea. That's a Lex Luthor play. How he went about it was horrible.
Ryan, there's a very excellent animated movie that does exactly that. It's called Superman,
Public Enemy.
Batman, Public Enemies. Right. And what Lex Luthor does in it, excuse me, is he has Metallo be his bodyguard and basically blows him up, and whatever the radiation matches Superman's heat vision. So it's a enemy of Superman killed in the same manner of heat vision, so the world, is out to get him. I'm like, that's a great way of doing it. Not whatever the hell this shit was.
There was actually a good episode of Justice League the animated series that did something very similar, where they introduced Shazam and they make him to be kind of like the next Superman to take over and everything. And he's like partnering with Luthor and getting all political. He's getting unintentionally political and close to Lex Luthor, and Luthor like sets up a situation that makes Superman look fucking crazy, which causes the two of them to fight. It breaks a bunch of shit that Luthor invested a lot of money in just to make Superman look like a fucking psycho. And it was so well done.
Exactly.
In half an hour.
Yeah. It's just it boggles your mind when you have a full-length movie and they can't figure out something a half-hour cartoon or an hour cartoon movie can figure out. Just, God.
Like I said,
those people don't get paid as much.
Bring
like,
Paul Dini into this. He knows what he's doing.
All right, gentlemen, can we
Sorry, let's move on.
Can we bring the mothers into this equation? Can we talk about Martha?
The Martha?
Why did you say that name?
Why did you say that name?
That might have been the worst cinematic moment in movie history that I've ever watched.
I mean, we did
Their
have to
mothers
watch
have the
Airbender,
same
so.
name, guys. Their mothers
Yeah.
have the same name. It's beautiful. I'm like, is it though?
Well, what's funny is on the rewatch when they were doing the Batman origin thing. I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. I bet you that Thomas says Martha just as he's about to die, and then it cuts to the next scene. And sure enough, they do. I'm like, God damn it, they foreshadowed it. Fucking
no
bullshit.
lie, I didn't catch that on the first watch, and then when I watched it and he fucking whispers Martha, I'm like, oh fuck you, Zack Snyder. Why would you do this?
The only reason that scene is there is for that foreshadowing. There's no other reason for it to be there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's no reason to have Batman's origin at this point. I feel like he is one of those heroes like Spider-Man, and I know you and all of us have talked about it. Like, you don't need to show his origin story anymore. Mm-hmm. People know what it is, and it was just not needed. And it was like weirdly done too with the gun and the necklace. Yeah. Like, I don't know.
I mean, to be fair, I liked the cinematography of the origin story. We mentioned it. We mentioned it in our Man of Steel podcast that Zack Snyder knows how to put together a nice looking shot. He knows how to make things look good on the screen. Yeah, they make very good trailers. But so the origin, I enjoyed watching the origin. I don't think they need the origin in it again, and I definitely don't think they needed like big name actors like fucking Jeffrey Dean Morgan to play Thomas Wayne
in there for 2 seconds.
All of like 90 seconds. Yeah,
I don't
think that was needed.
Can I be honest? I want to see a Flashpoint universe where Negan plays Thomas Wayne. That'd be so cool.
I mean, honestly,
they were going to do that.
They already fucking shoehorned the Flashpoint / Injustice.
Oh, we're going to talk about that.
There,
I got words. No, Aaron, they were going to do that, and then when they announced Flashpoint, like Jeffrey Dean basically came out and said he was going to play Thomas Wayne. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm down, man. That's awesome.
I'd still be down for that too because I love him. He's such a good actor.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that Flash moment.
Can we also loop in?
Talk about shoehorning.
Can we also loop in the shoehorning of the characters with the fucking mini trailers? Because I think all that ties together.
Oh my god!
Yeah, let's call this the DC Cinematic Universe Kickstart grievance that encompasses all of 10 grievances into one.
All right, Robbie, start us off. What do you want to kick us off at?
Yeah. So I want to talk about the dream sequence. So
it's pretty bad.
It's bad, but a small part of me wanted to see them go down that road with Darkseid. You see the Mega symbol. You see what would happen if we had basically Injustice Superman for real that worked for Darkseid. And I thought that was really cool. But why the fuck was it in this movie? Like, we haven't earned that yet.
Right.
That's like years down the road where we have like an alternate universe where this happens, because like this shit would happen in the comics, where somebody killed Lois Lane. It's just like the Injustice comics, and Superman goes nuts. This way, Darkseid brainwashes him or whatever. Like, that'd be cool to see. Like, I'd watch a movie like that.
So I mean, I don't first of all, I don't think that the Darkseid reference should have been shoehorned in it, because Darkseid and Injustice are two completely different things. And
true.
Like if it was a heavy reference to one or the other, that would be fantastic. Comic book geeks would love that shit, and they would already get it. But when you're already talking about whether or not Superman is a threat, then just throwing Darkseid into this future dream sequence makes no goddamn sense. Because you're sitting there like, wait, Darkseid? Wait, but these evil soldiers had the Superman patch on. Are we doing Injustice? Wait, what? So that I feel like it was an interesting nod, but it was unnecessary, and it made that whole convoluted plot more convoluted. I'm sorry, but B. I think I entirely agree with the fact that they're jumping the gun and giving you Injustice Superman because Henry Cavill does a really good menacing Clark Kent. He does a really good menacing Superman. If you had him, like, you had a whole thing around Injustice Superman, Henry Cavill would be the perfect fit. But the reason that Injustice Superman hits so hard is because you had years of good Superman that you based your interactions on. So when he finally goes evil, it's like terrifying because this is the guy who would save the whole planet time and time again, ultimately deciding, you know what, fuck it, this place is mine now.
Well, to add to that, Ryan, I think you hit a point in the head. I think I want to elaborate a bit more on it. I think that this film was cobbled together with Zack Snyder literally going on to like some fan site or just Google and typing in what are the most popular Superman storylines. He read them, he analyzed them, he wrote down some cliff notes and decided to take little bits and pieces from each one of them without really realizing that there's a history and context behind them that make those storylines as good as they are. And because of this, you have shoehorned incidences like Injustice, like Death of Superman, like all these other little bits and pieces. And none of them fit together well, especially when you're also trying to do Dark Knight, and you're trying to do Dawn of Justice, you're trying to do all this other shit. And it's like, you have all these good ideas here that could all be much shorter, multiple shorter films. So just pick a couple of them and work with those. Then you can make a one good movie, and then maybe follow up with some of this stuff later. But without the history, the context, a lot of what he went for is just weirdly unearned and out of place.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree.
And it carries over to Justice League. I know you guys, like, we talked about this one of the last times we talked. And
yeah,
it carries over to that because it just doesn't work. And it's just this big mashed thing that he hasn't figured out yet. And then, you know, the whole thing with, you know, being let go from DC with and all that, like, it just comes back to the problem of they never ever should have made a cinematic universe out of Man of Steel. Like, if that would have just been
I don't think that's impossible.
One-off movie.
Like, I feel like, so I think I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's my thinking. I don't want to interrupt Ryan, but I've been thinking about this for a while. I think that Man of Steel isn't the best starting place for a cinematic universe, but I did see the footholds where it could have certainly started. What we talked about in our Man of Steel episode, I know it hasn't come out for you, Robbie, so you haven't heard it yet, but we talked about it, and the one incident I brought up was the whole, you know, now Superman's willing to kill, what's the point of him having to team up or working with other people if he can literally do anything and kill people and is willing to do it? The sequel could have easily brought in Batman and could have easily brought in Luthor, and it would have been a challenge to Superman to see how far they would be able to push him without him killing. You know, that could have been a whole interesting conversation. You could have gotten rid of all this other bloat because his enemy would have been so much weaker than him that him killing would have been overpowered. It would have given Batman some actual leverage to like talk with him, discuss with him why he can't go across that line, because that is Batman's thing. You cannot cross this line because that makes you like them. There's so much philosophical discussion that could have been had with that one beat from the first movie. You could have jumped off into making something completely different, and I would have applauded it. This took, and it's going to get to my grievance I'm going to hit up after we do this one. It takes the philosophical conversation they could have had and gives them one that doesn't really exist, and it is just so weird why they went this direction.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off that as well, I don't think that Man of Steel was a horrible place to start the cinematic universe off. My grievance with it is that they tried to start the entire cinematic universe in this one movie. Essentially, like everybody, like all the comic book movies are essentially trying to take a page off of Marvel's playbook. And like, because Marvel has this thing down to pretty much a science, and they're constantly putting out movies that piggyback off each other and build this larger universe. And that's because they did it one movie at a time, and they built it up slowly, and they made sure everything was solid as they added more stuff on. But since DC is playing catch up, they essentially have to set up the groundwork for 6 movies in one so that they can try and really catch up. And it's too much work for this big ass movie that's already trying to do too much. Like to have it jumpstart everything else. Yeah, no. That's where I think they fucked up with the universe.
I mean, it's not as bad as the Dooku, but it's still pretty bad. For those who aren't aware of that reference, that is the dark cinematic universe from Universal. The Dooku.
Oh my god, that's even worse.
It petered out in one film.
No, but like what you're saying, Ryan, like, yeah, we had this Justice League trailer basically stuck in this movie for no reason. Like that whole thing was stupid too. And I mean, I was excited, for a potential Flash movie, potential Aquaman, because I like these characters. Like I'm invested in DC, for my love of Batman and my love of Justice League. But it's just, the problem is what really screwed DC is that Marvel did it and did it so well, and then they tried to play catch up, like you said, and it just the execs were like, oh, we gotta fire this out, and then you get stuck with a movie that's shitty like this with 3 of the biggest characters of all time, which should be a slam dunk movie, right?
Yes.
Am I wrong?
It's a movie we look forward to for decades.
Yeah, it's the holy trinity of comic book figures. You have one of the best women heroes of all time, one of the first superheroes of all time, and one of the most popular characters of all time between these 3. And you get stuck with this dog shit movie, and it just
I mean,
I'm sorry. So, I'm trying not to. I'm
I
sorry.
hear you. No, I hear you.
We're on the same boat.
You are
we're
preaching
all
to the
that
choir, Robbie.
Yeah.
But take a look at Marvel. Like Marvel did like 5 movies.
They didn't have Spider-Man.
They did 5 movies over the course of like 3 or 4 years.
For years. It was 2008 to 2012.
Right, before they hit Avengers. Like they built everything up. They laid the groundwork for what Avengers was going to be about. They introduced each character with like their own like really cool backstories and actual storylines. They made them complete characters before the team up. But DC was like, let's do Man of Steel. Now let's do Man of Steel 2, but also shoehorn Batman and Wonder Woman in. And let's give Wonder Woman her own backstory movie and Justice League. Let's go. Like, what?
Well,
guys.
Yeah.
If I may make a comparison real quick. We're all video gamers here, so you might catch the right references here real quick. I would say that in the scenario we're talking about here, Marvel and Disney, the established empire they've made, they are Nintendo. They've built this amazing franchise, Super Smash Bros. In this case, it's Marvel, and they've built this entire empire that is just selling like crazy. Warner Bros. And DC, they are PlayStation. They are Sony. And when they saw how successful they've been, what do? They copy them with PlayStation All-Stars. They copy them with the PlayStation Classic. Both of those have been universally referred to as the lesser version of what Smash Bros. And the NES Classic are. They are cheap attempts to cash in on what Nintendo made popular. In this case, it's what Disney made popular. But the problem is that unlike what Sony did, there's so much more potential here with what Warner Brothers has in their pocket. They have so many good stories and comics and characters to work from for the DC universe that it's going to be far more underwhelming. And the problem that they share with Sony is they didn't take the same messages, or they didn't learn the lessons that Marvel did, or Nintendo did on how to make them. In the case, going back to my comparison, Smash Bros. Was designed as a celebration of video games by Nintendo. It was designed to be this happy, joyous experience for everybody. Whereas PlayStation All-Stars was kind of designed to be more or less, hey, look at all these characters and games that have just came out or are about to come out. It felt more like a commercial than anything.
Yeah.
And then I think that same kind of thing applies to Marvel versus DC in these films. And I don't mean to compare them because that's not what the season's about. But Marvel is, again, celebrating the love of the comics, celebrating the love of the characters, and making it so everyone can enjoy it and have fun. DC they're trying their hardest to tell some kind of deeper meaning behind it, but they're kind of losing sight of what made these characters special in the first goddamn place.
Yeah, and like how much of that, like I think a lot of that you can really blame on the rush essentially to like essentially grab the like part of the huge like money boon that is like comic book movies, because comic book movies are making bank and people want to be a part of that as fast as possible. DC has all of the ammunition and all of the stories that it needs to really make an amazing cinematic universe. They have all the tools that they can do it, but there's no time for them to do it right because the guys who write the checkbooks want to get Batman versus Superman out right the fuck now. And so it's capitalism, damn it. No, but yeah, like, as much as I joke about it, it kind of is.
Another movie.
It kind of is. It makes me sad.
No, it's fair. I mean, it's just unfortunate that they weren't trying to do this at the same time because of what happened with Green Lantern. Ooh. And having Batman be this world that Christopher Nolan made that he just wanted contained, and if they could have came out of like the Dark Knight, for instance, and made something out of that,
if they were able to do that, if they were able to jumpstart the universe out of Christopher Nolan's Batman, that would be a completely different story.
Imagine a world where,
that's fair. But
imagine a world where there was a post-credit scene in Dark Knight Rises where you see Bruce just kind of like resting away, like just like in France or wherever he's at, and then the window like breaks open and Superman's breaking down the wall saying, "Bruce, I'm sorry, but the world needs you again."
That would be fucking ridiculous. Or like at the end of the Dark Knight, where like everything's going crazy, and you see this guy in glasses walking up and saying, "Hi, I'm looking into stories of like this Bat vigilante. My name's Clark Kent." Boom. That's post credit scene to end all post credit scenes. That's it.
There's a lot of ways they could have done it, and I get Nolan had a vision he wanted to do, but man, I don't know. At the end of the day, that could have definitely helped Warner get their universe off the ground in a much more steady way.
I mean,
I'm not mad at Chris Nolan because like I love his trilogy, and the fact that he wanted to keep it as pure and contained, I'm not mad at him.
I'm not mad.
No, I'm not either.
They missed an opportunity with that. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, and that's all I was trying to say is that you had this period where these DC films were actually kind of ruling the roost because Dark Knight was this phenomenon, and that's the year that Iron Man came out, which also was a great movie, but yeah, exactly. But you were just like, oh my god, Dark Knight, like Heath Ledger's a Joker, this is awesome, and Marvel just kind of sneakily went from there, and DC really didn't. So
yeah. We're going
anyway.
We're going really long. But I want to hit one more key point to this movie because I think it does tie in everything. So when you have a hero versus hero battle, one of the big things that you're supposed to really kind of focus on, more than just the fighting, even though that's kind of part for the course of action movies and whatnot, is the philosophy behind the characters, the reason why they're fighting in the first place. In something like, say, Civil War, it was because you have one character wanting to be pro-registration and be more, quote-unquote responsible for the people. And then you have the other one who doesn't think that's going to actually help them, and he wants more freedom for what the heroes can do so they can better do their jobs. It was a very simple, very straightforward philosophical battle that we all could follow and enjoy. I don't know what the philosophical battle is here because, quite frankly, I feel like both of them have kind of similar or same methods to dealing with problems. And neither one of them are just talking, and neither of them are talking about that philosophy. Neither one of them are talking about the debate. They just don't talk, and it's like, why are they fighting? What purpose do they have other than just being manipulated by Luthor? It doesn't make any sense to me.
That's very true. It's a very poignant statement, and I completely agree with it. Like, honestly, the rush to get to the fight was like the main thing, and they had an interesting thing that they were going towards, where they hinted at a parallel between Luthor and Bruce Wayne. Because you started out with when you were first even introduced to like Bruce Wayne after Batman, when Alfred is kind of dressing him down, like, dude, like, you're going kind of crazy, and you're doing and he's like, everything changed since he arrived, and he said that hopelessness, that's that hopelessness that turns good, that feeling of helplessness where people can't do anything, that turns good men cruel. And they set that up also talking to Luthor about how he's achieved all of this, and yet as soon as Superman shows up, the achievements of men mean nothing. And you can be the smartest person on the planet, and it still doesn't mean anything because there exists a being that is essentially God simply by existing, and he hated that. So they hinted at that stuff, but they didn't go deeper into it. And that would have made the movie like twice as good, but they just kind of put it out there and then didn't touch it again. They're like, more fighting, more blowing things up.
That's what Zack Snyder does, man.
Yeah, but like,
he likes those set pieces.
Well, like, here's the thing though, like, so the reason why Batman hates Superman, I'm gonna simplify it really quickly because I want to make sure we don't run too long. Batman hates Superman because of, the collateral damage that happened in Metropolis, and that how he is this all-powerful figure who, with just a thought, he could wipe everybody out if he wanted to, but, that's a whole other debate. So he thinks that this guy has too much power and is basically being judge, jury, and executioner for everybody. Counterpoint, though, is that Batman is branding people and sentencing them to death in prison, basically becoming a judge, jury, and executioner for people in Gotham. What ground does he have to stand on to complain about Superman at all? That's what he's doing, too.
Now, okay. I also want to talk about this, too. The brand being a death sentence. Why? Can someone explain to me why, if you got caught and got the shit beat out of you by Batman, everybody in prison wants to kill you? Can you explain to me that?
I
want to
can
believe that Mark is saved for pedophiles.
No. I can tell you exactly what it is. He only branded them if they talked, so they were snitches.
Oh.
So that's why the guy was so afraid, because since he talked to save his life, because Batman probably would have killed him in this universe, he knew if he was going to jail, he was going to die.
Oh.
With the brand.
Oh, okay, that's rough.
That's messed up, rough. Right?
It's still like twisted as fuck though, because like.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's any better. I'm just saying that's what it is.
Jesus Christ.
That just gave me the little bit of logic that I need. The fact that if you talked and gave him more intel, he didn't kill you. He just branded you, and everybody knows that the brand.
So somebody else is gonna kill you, but
okay,
you're still gonna die.
Like you're not gonna be killed by this fucking demon in a bat figure who's gonna like break your neck a couple times before you die.
Isn't that messed up? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
pretty rough.
Another reason I hate this movie.
Like I said, I love that Bruce has such a rage to him. It's a really interesting thing to see. But yeah, like when it's literally all that you get of Batman, if that's like everything informing his decisions, it makes him a really one-note, one-dimensional character. And that's not Batman. Batman is really deep and complex in like everything he does.
Yeah, very layered.
Yes, there's some rage to him, but there's also like 8 other things affecting his decisions. If it's only rage, then he just becomes boring and like horrible and not Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not a hero then. And I think that's the problem, is that if they could have... So let's say we start with the Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
If they could have done a Batman movie, and let's say they even wanted the old Batman that we got, where they look back on his career, maybe something very specific that happened, like Jason Todd's death, that changes him to be this person we see in this movie. Like, I think that would have helped you understand. I still wouldn't understand it because I'm still mad about the guns and the branding and all that shit.
There's a lot of stuff you could cut, yeah, but still.
Yeah, but like, let you see that you have that full movie to see why Batman is the way he is now compared to what we think Batman is as a hero. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would 1 2-hour movie could have helped this movie tremendously. Like, if they would have had it beforehand, but they had to fire it out. So whatever.
So I gotta ask then. I know we've complained a little bit about how long this movie is and how it doesn't really do anything with the time it's got. Did any of us see the extended cut?
Yep, I own it.
Oh,
yeah, I saw the Ultimate Edition. Yeah,
I saw the basic.
It's 3 hours.
The basic bitch version.
3 hours of your life you're not going to get back. But I will say it makes the movie make a little bit more sense with the stuff they add. It doesn't make it
can't be
better.
any worse. It can't be any worse than the Green Lantern extended version.
Ugh.
Oh, that movie.
Ugh.
If you want to hear us talk about Green Lantern, go check out our YouTube channel or go to the iTunes or Peepa. We're everywhere.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, it makes it make more sense because they add some stuff that puts context behind things that happen in the movie, like how Lois figures out where this bullet came from and like that stuff. They add context to it, but
they add context to the mystery that we didn't care about because it has nothing to do with the
yes,
plot.
exactly. So that's why it got cut out, because whoever edited the movie is probably like, oh, this doesn't even make sense anyway, so we'll just cut it out.
And then Zack Snyder came in the room like after the movie aired, after he saw it on the screen, he's like, "What the fuck did you do to my movie? Put it back in there."
Yeah, he wanted a 4-hour movie. Oh man, it's not good. I don't know.
And I'm not opposed to long movies, but they have to do something interesting in those long hours. You can't just do this shit for 3 hours and expect me to stay awake.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to watch this like in the middle of the afternoon, because if you try to watch it at night, you're gonna fall asleep.
Make sure you get like some coffee on hand.
Yeah, you have to drink some coffee or something. Oh man, but yeah, I own the Ultimate Edition. I'm one of those jabronis, unfortunately. So. But it had Batman in the title, so I had to buy it.
So are there any other points we want to get over before we wrap this up and move on to our part B of this week? So I have a lot of points I can still talk about, but I feel like we've talked about a lot of things, and I don't want to dive too deep into them, because like the death of Superman, it sucks. Moving on. There's a bunch of other little things I could gripe about, but like I don't know if there's anything big you guys wanted to hit that we missed.
Well, what about how they knew about the kryptonite? That always kind of bothered me.
It did seem kind of weird they knew it would work without any real... Like, what idea did you have to just send, like, I'm going to bring this magic rock that we found over to this Kryptonian we found and see if something happens?
Yeah. Yeah, like, how did they know that? We never... Because I'm pretty sure they never talk about that in the Man of Steel. Like... Do they?
No, they don't. They don't. But the idea with the idea with the kryptonite, and I'm always interested to see how they're going to do it in movies, because you have to introduce some reason why there is a mineral that actually hurts Superman found on Earth. The fact that some of the terraforming, some of the Earth and atmosphere that was terraformed into Krypton, but like got fucked up by the World Engine when they destroyed it, is like responsible for what kryptonite actually is. So my guess is that they found some of it, not huge amounts of it, but some of it during the fight, like in Metropolis, and saw that it was affecting kryptonite cells because they still had Zod's body. That's how I got like they mentioned something about like a study being shown like this type of mineral was actually degrading Zod, like the cells in Zod's body being around it. So hence it's a silver bullet, a deterrent against Superman just in case he goes nuts.
Of all the shit they go into detail to explain to make sure we know exactly what's going on, that didn't get explained super well.
It really didn't.
Which-
It really did not.
Which would have been helpful when Batman gets a shit ton of it for their fight.
It's all right.
And
He had a
spear.
kryptonite
But-
spear, guys.
Wouldn't it have been
I'm
cooler
not sure
like,
if this
they
is
didn't
gonna hurt
bother
him, but I'm gonna
kryptonite
try
at all?
it.
Instead, the first time we see Superman actually weak to something is when they introduce like a magic villain, like or have a magic character fight him, like Dr. Fate or Zatanna or something.
No, I think everybody, I think most people in the superhero universe were really scared to tackle magic until Marvel did it with Doc Strange. I don't think you would have seen a for real magic character in a DC movie until Marvel did it. It's really sad to say.
Probably
but
when
damn.
they greenlit Shazam.
I know, but that just makes Warner Brothers a bunch of cowards.
Well, I mean, I'm not disagreeing.
They
with
did
you.
Harry Potter. They know magic.
they're-
No,
Still doing Harry
but I
Potter.
mean in comics,
Yeah.
in comic books.
No, that's fair.
They're not doing it well, but they are still doing Harry Potter.
This is true. Oh man. No, that's all I have. Besides the piss, but I mean we don't really need to go
Granny's
into that.
peach
This is
tea.
just
Sharp.
weird.
I hear it's
Yeah.
fucking delicious.
That was just
This movie literally took the piss.
Go home.
Well, we could sit here talking about this movie for like another hour, but it'd all be us just
True.
talking about how shit it is. So we're gonna move on to our mailbag. You can reach out to us on Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. You can tell us what you think of this movie and whether you liked it or hated it. Guys, I'm actually gonna be surprised. There's a lot of I was looking on IMDb reviews out of curiosity. There's a lot of love for this movie, and I don't understand it at all. Like, you like what you like. I
Wait,
hear
for
you.
real?
But people are giving it perfect 10s and saying it's the best movie ever, better than anything Marvel's done. I'm like, listen,
Did Warner Brothers pay those people?
Yes.
listen. I get you guys are trolls. Come on now. But if you
No,
want to
they're called influencers because they get a paycheck.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you want to email us your what do you want to call it? Your thesis on why you think this movie is literally God's gift to the earth, you can send that to what email is that, Ryan?
That email is why the fuck was Batman in that Doomsday fight at Gmail. I mean, sorry, excuse me, it was still in my throat. That's at evacstation@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to tell you how wrong you are. I mean, we'll be happy to engage in healthy discourse about this movie with you guys.
Indeed, but make sure it's exactly minimum of 3 pages. Spelling has to be accurate. Make sure there's a clear thesis and a clear conclusion. And do we need to cite sources, Ryan? I think that's a little too much.
That's a little too much. We are talking about comic books. Although, if you do want to cite your comic book references, please go ahead and do so.
Yeah, that'll give you some good reading material.
There's plenty of references in this movie. Not done very well, but there is.
Well, this is normally where we would do trivia or we would do final thoughts, but as we've been doing with this season, we're putting that off to the second episode because we're comparing the pieces. So thank you for listening to Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Ugh. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be tackling the Batman Superman TV movie, World's Finest.
Oh my god,
Yes.
Nostalgia, baby, nostalgia.
Can't wait.
I can't wait either. Gotta love me some Mark Hamill. So thank you for watching, listening, however you're enjoying this, and we'll see you after the credits.
Oh, this is not the sequel. This is not the reboot. This is just the dawn. 'Cause baby, now we've got bad blood. You know we used to be best